Right, Paulie, it's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast again. How you doing?
I'm great, man. It's good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a couple of years, hasn't it? Because when I last spoke to you, I think you was in the States, and I think you was in a transitional period of kind of moving. Um, and now you're in Bali. Is that right? You're in Bali. So you moved to Bali, and
Yeah.
I see on your social media, there's loads of changes that have happened. You're into health as well. There's many other things that you do. Because I see on your videos you're eating like raw meat, and some of these like videos I can only watch so much. I have to like kind of skip off it because I'm like, okay, the, like as you ate is it like these like testicles, like raw meat, all kinds of different things. Like what kind of got you into that, and what changes have happened since we last spoke? 'Cause I know you've got a son now, you've got a partner, you're in Bali. What kind of made you
Yeah, man.
shift and change?
Yeah. The whole carnivore-ish diet that I'm on, meat, organs, eggs. I eat fruit, um, honey. Yeah, that's like the majority of it right there, like an animal-based diet essentially. But yeah, I just saw like Liver King doing it last year, and then I kind of found some other guys, some other big guys like Carnivore MD. His username is Carnivore MD 2.0, and Carnivore Elias. They're like some of the big accounts. So I found these guys and just watched what they do, and then I saw this other guy from right around from where I'm from. He's from Jersey. I'm from Philly, but his Instagram was the raw meat experiment. I think he disabled it though. I think he got tired of doing it, but he was eating raw meat every day. So just a combination of seeing these guys do this stuff. So I started eating just like steak and eggs and maybe a little bit of liver here and there back in and bone marrow back in January. And then I really went all in April, and I started eating like raw testicle, raw heart, raw liver, raw kidney, raw bone marrow, raw eggs, a little bit of raw steak, and I was just doing everything. And during that month of April, I decided I was eating a testicle. It was like the second or third time I'd eaten a testicle, and I was like, I should try putting this on TikTok. And I hadn't really been doing much with my TikTok for the past several months. And I posted this testicle video, and I woke up and it was at like 60K views, which isn't anything crazy, but for my account, it was like pretty good. So I was like, whoa, okay. And then over the next few days, that video went over 1 million. But after that video, I was like, I'm going to do one every day. So I started posting like every day, just posting these meals I was eating. And then, yeah, everything just blew up, man. So now it's kind of like my whole brand. I've gained, I was right around like 210,000 followers on TikTok back in April, and now I'm at 850K. So I've gained 640,000 followers in actually, oh shit, it's the 18th today. So April 18th was, I know the date because I've said it so many times. April 18th was the day that I posted the first testicle video. So 7 months today, I've gained 640,000 followers in 7 months on TikTok. So yeah, man, that's been my big focus, going all in with content. I'm launching my own line of merch soon, like t-shirts and hoodies. I have my mentorship going. I have a community, called Truth Seekers that I'm building. And then after the merch is done, I'm going to start building a supplement company. So that's really like those are like all the things that I got my hands and feet dipped into right now. But yeah, bro, just doing the damn thing, being a dad, being a partner, and yeah, that's life.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love what you're doing, and I think it's quite something, isn't it? To have that shift in followers in TikTok, and you put content out there and it just kind of blows up, and you're doing something that you're passionate about and you feel strongly about as well. So I think that's a good thing. Your health, you're looking after your health, and I think you're trying things that people probably necessarily wouldn't always kind of probably be scared to do, or bit because I think it's told, a lot of things are told to us are, you can't eat raw meat, you can't do this. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that we're told. We think we're kind of scared of doing those things.
That's the mission behind what I do, man. To be honest with you, a big part of it that motivates me is that, you know, I'm always one to go against the grain and break the rules and do what most people don't, and that's what, you know, I don't enjoy it for the sake of being a rebel. I enjoy it for the sake of opening up people's minds and showing them like, yo, look, you can actually do this. I know you've been told by many people that you can't, but you can. Because that's how I was raised. My parents were very like limited belief mindset my whole life. So I was raised with that. And I didn't break out of that until my my mid to late 20s. When I was like 25, 26, I kind of started like opening my eyes, like, okay, something's not right here, you know? And so like, I feel like that's late. I feel like a lot of people these days, like you see all these young entrepreneurs, man, in their fucking teens and early 20s, you know, breaking out of the matrix, becoming millionaires. So it took me a while to figure that out, but that's what drives me, man. Cause I was captivated in a small town mindset for so long. And I see so many people that are, so it's just, that's what motivates me. You know, it's not all about the raw meat, but I'm using this as my base to then build on and create a higher impact down the road. You know, just helping people break out of the matrix and live the life that they truly want to live, doing what they truly want to do, experiencing new things that they thought they could never do. That's really what my higher goal, my higher purpose is. But yeah, I just, you know, the raw meat and the raw testicle and all that shit, it just stuck. And so I said, this is it, you know, that's what you need. You know, you need something to build on. And that is good. That's my foundation. I'm the testicle king. That's what people call me, right? Instead of the liver king, right? So being the testicle king is the way that I'm going to build my empire and change the world, then so be it. Which is funny because it's like a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, oh, you're just eating testicles to get attention. And I'm like, like it like in a sense, of course, like what does any successful entrepreneur or business person or celebrity or whatever, what do they do? You have to, all eyes on them, right? That's how you build a business. That's how you build a brand. But it's not for the sake of just feeling important, right? It's for creating an impact. So yeah, bro. That's like behind what I'm doing.
No, I love it. And I think like, you know, you have to, you know, you mentioned as well, like, you know, growing up in a you know, a town with like, you know, being around people who have like a limited mindset. And I think, you know, your parents, you know, what your surroundings, you know, the people you're around, it can kind of mold and shape who you are. But then, you know, like you said, you reach a point of, you know, in your mid-20s or when you mature and you step out of that and you start questioning things, you know, it's then like, you know, you're kind of breaking out that mold, aren't you? That matrix that, you know, that we're all kind of around sometimes. And I think, you know, I applaud you for what you're doing. You know, you have made a shift and change where you know, you moved, you know, you're living in Bali now. And I think, you know, a lot of people, they stay safe and they stay doing the same thing in the same place. And I mean, if people are happy doing that, fine. But I think for the most part, there's so much more out there that you could be doing, and there's so much more growth out there. If that makes sense, and if you're not taking those steps, you're not going to move forward.
Of course, it does make sense. It makes a lot of sense, and a lot of people do get stuck. And there are genuinely some people on this earth that are truly happy doing the same thing, but it's very few. And I think there's a massive amount of people who think that they're truly happy, but they're actually not. And they don't want to accept that. And deep down, they struggle and they're not enjoying themselves. And they're so they're robots, they're programmed, you know, and they're not actually experiencing that growth. And I agree, man. There's a lot. I've said this to a lot of people. I've said this many times, is that I believe it should be like a mandatory law that when you turn 18, you have to like, as soon as you graduate high school, you have to go somewhere. You have to leave your whole state. You have to go to a different state and go somewhere else and experience a whole new vibe. And it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, move to a different city, move to a different, go to a different country if you can. Like, just get out, because as soon as you do that, something clicks neurologically in the way that we think, the way that we act, the way that we behave, the way that we perceive things, the way that we make decisions, just all of it, everything. And when you do that, it's like our brains and our perspective on life is essentially like a big map, right? And the map it's like a blank map. It's like a big sea of water, and it only has land in the places that you've been. That's like what our perspective is of life. You can only fill in your map if you've been there. And so most people have a big blue map, right? A big blue water map. That's all it is, because they don't go anywhere. They don't see new things. And when you go to new places, you meet new people. There's a different energy, there's a different aura, there's a different vibe, there's a different flow. Like when I came to Bali, man, it just changed the whole way I think about life. And it was a major moment of growth. And most people would say, oh, well, it's just Bali, like you're just going to a different country. Yeah, it's cool, but like, how's it going to change you? And it's like, you can't explain it. Like, you just get here and you just see the flow of traffic, the way of life of the locals, the outdoor living, and like, you just like, okay, you know what, like, this is different. Something's different about this. I need to start thinking differently. And then that's when you start like thinking differently, and you start doing things differently. And that's what changes you. That's what grows you. That's what transforms you. So yeah, man, if everyone would just get out of their hometown and get out of that hometown high school mindset, then we would see a lot more growth in humanity. But you're right, people stay small, and you know, just like you said, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not growing, then what are you doing? Growth is the infinite principle of the universe. So without growth, we lose, right? If humans stop growing, and essentially even stop being born, and then we're gonna stop existing, and then that's it, done. And then this chapter of life is over, and then however the universe and God works, whatever your beliefs are, is, it's a new round, right? We start from scratch. But that's what it all comes back to, is like, how can we continue to grow in numbers? Apparently there's like a report that the human population just hit 8 billion the other day. I thought it was done like a while ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever knows with that shit, man. I think it's all a lie. It's all bullshit, but whatever. But yeah, it's like, if the population's not growing, or we're not building and we're not creating new things and becoming a stronger species, then it's like, what are we doing? And yeah, I mean, I can go on all day about that shit, man. What's happening in the world right now. It's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. And I love what you mentioned, about like growth in society. And if we're not learning, if we're not growing, and I like your concept about like the map concept. And I think I can relate to that, because I grew up in a city for like 19 years, in a busy city in the UK. And then my family moved down to down south in the countryside, kind of part of the UK. And my perspective completely changed, because I was condensed in a city for nearly 20 years, thrown into a situation where buses every hour, places close early, people are more laid back, they think differently. And even a 5-6 hour drive is completely different. It's a different like perspective, different way of life. And I think that's changed me. It made me think about things differently. And then, like you said, when you travel, when you go different places or different countries, you mentioned how people live, the pace of life, their morning rituals, and you have to, like you said, get those different lenses at different places to, it changes you. We don't always think it changes us, but it changes us. And, by the sounds of it, you going to Bali has definitely shifted and grown you and changed you. Like
Massively. I mean, without Bali, dude, I don't have my girl. I don't have my son. I don't like, what am I, life is not as I know it, as not as I have it right now. And I'm blessed. I'm so blessed, man. Like, you would have told me 2 years ago when I moved here, it's almost been 2 years since I moved here, So things happen fast, man. I met my girl almost 2 years ago in December. We started dating like right away. And then we got pregnant, man, in less than a year, and life threw us a huge curveball, and it just, everything worked out, and here I am. And it's like, without ever taking that leap of just saying fuck it and like moving to Bali, which is like a crazy concept, especially where I'm from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is like, geez, dude, it's like, that is like where people go to fucking die, dude. I may be being harsh, but like, Pennsylvania is so goddamn boring. And like, I think I don't know if it's still this way, if this is still an accurate what's the word I'm looking for, study or something like that, but
Yeah.
At one point, Pennsylvania was the oldest demographic in the United States. The oldest age average in the United States was Pennsylvania. So it just goes to show, like, it's just a very old time, boring fucking state, dude. So like, dude, when I did what I did, so many people from my hometown were like, bro, what are you doing? And it was like,
Yeah.
and meanwhile, I'm like, I'm loving life, dude. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you fucking, like, you're still in King of Prussia? Like, what do you, get out? Like, go somewhere different. King of Prussia is where I'm from. But yeah, man. So it helps. It helps. And you know what? I may sound a little egotistical, and I don't mean to be. I'm just having fun. I'm just goofing around. Like, I really say it with seriousness, and there's nothing wrong with repping your hometown. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't travel and you don't like experience new things and you're just there all the time, yeah, like, that sucks. Like, that's not how life is supposed to be. You're not just supposed to like sit in the same city all the time, and it's so good to branch out. It really is.
I think it's scary when you go back and you might see people doing the same thing, and then you kind of like think back, oh well, I've done this and I've tried this and I've grown in this way, but that person's still in that place. And I think sometimes people get stuck in a rut. Maybe that, it's a bit like a daydream that they're doing it and they don't realize almost, and it's just we're creatures of habit sometimes, and they're just kind of caught in that loop. But also, like, I'm really curious about, with the meat side of things. Like, have you felt what benefits have you felt to your health with the raw meat and the carnivore diet?
Dude, I ate a raw steak every day for 65 days. I recently stopped a few weeks ago, and went back to doing blue rare, where you just sear it on each side really nice, and then it's like super raw in the middle. And that's kind of like my preferred way, because you still get like the taste of like a really nice, like, seared steak, but then you maintain as much nutritional value. And that's essentially like a big reason too of why I did it, because the more you cook a steak, the more of the micronutrients and some of the macronutrients you cook off. Red meat is a powerhouse of vitamins and minerals. So when it turns brown, that's all those micronutrients dying, right? That's why you're not supposed to eat steak well done. Like, that's not supposed to be a thing, and yeah, so I did that for 65 days, and dude, I felt fucking awesome, to be honest with you. I felt so good. Digestion was really good too. When you eat raw meat, it's a lot, believe it or not, it's a lot easier for the body to digest than cooked meat. It's in its purest form, so if you eat a well done steak, that's really hard on your digestive tract, because it's so cooked, it's so tough, it's so chewy, and like all the muscle fibers of the steak are all like burnt essentially. So it's like really rough on your stomach. So when you eat raw, it's so alive and fresh that it just goes like right through you, you know, and in a good way. And yeah, so when I ate the raw meat, dude, I felt great. I still eat raw organs. I eat my organs raw like always. Like I don't cook my liver. I have liver, heart, testicles. Those are like my main three that I eat all week. Not every day, but I rotate. I'll eat some sort of organ every day. Typically liver most days. I'll have liver probably like five days a week on average. Heart I'll probably eat 3 times a week on average. Testicle probably 2 to 3 times a week on average. And yeah, I eat all those raw. I prefer those raw because you eat smaller amounts of those. So the steak, like I said, I just went back to searing it. But dude, you feel awesome, man. You really do. Like I recommend it for everyone. It's so good. When I eat the raw, like when I eat like raw liver, raw testicle, especially those two are like my favorite. I just feel like a powerhouse. I'm like ready to go. It's like pre-workout for me. I eat it before the gym.
So when you mention like say raw testicle, raw liver, what animal are these from? From a
Beef.
specific animal? Beef.
Beef. Yeah, cow and bull. If I can get goat testicles, I prefer those ones. I was getting goat testicles first, actually, before the bull testicles. And I really like the goat ones better. But the person that I was getting them from stopped getting them, and I haven't been able to find them since. So I need to figure out what happened to that.
Yeah.
But the bull testicles are the ones I typically eat. I don't like those ones as much, unless they're like wicked fresh. The problem is with those ones, they're like really gamey. And a lot of times my suppliers, I don't know like what's been going on. They haven't been getting them as fresh lately. So when I get them, like they're not like rotten or anything, but they'll maybe for like an extra day or so, they'll like I guess sit out or something. I have no idea. I don't know what happens, but when I get them, they've just been like way more gamey and like they kind of smell, bro. But but overall, I mean, it's like it's fine. I've never gotten like sick or anything off any of
Mm,
this shit. That's what people ask me all the time, like, dude, how are you not getting like food poisoning or salmonella or whatever? I haven't gotten it once, man. And once again, like that just goes to show like we can do this shit. I've
yeah.
tried, dude, I've tried so much shit raw. I've had here's my list. I've had multiple different raw steaks, tons of different raw steaks. I even had some ground beef. I made like hamburger patties and I just seared them and then they were like raw in the middle. I've done raw liver, raw testicle, raw heart. I've done raw brain, like literally raw brain. That one's rough. It's mushy. It's so mushy. I don't like brain. It's just mush. There's not really much flavor, but it's just so mushy. I've done raw bone marrow. I do raw fish all the time. I mean, that's pretty common sushi, I would say. People still freak out about it for some reason, but I'll do like a raw salmon with like the skin on, and I'll just grab the whole fillet and just bite it with the skin on, and I'm totally fine. Of course, tuna. I've done raw shrimp, gray, uncooked raw shrimp, big king prawns. Those are awesome. What else? Oh, I did raw chicken. That was interesting. I did raw
You
chicken
did
and I did a raw pork chop.
raw
I did
chicken.
raw chicken. I did raw
How was that?
chicken
How was that?
and I did a raw pork chop. So dude, to be honest, the chicken was actually kind of good. I really enjoyed it. It was nice, man. So basically the story behind that, I have a few different suppliers out here that I get all my meat and organs from and everything. One of them is called Hunters. They're probably the most popular one, and the owner, his name is Dom. He's a really good dude. I'm actually good buddies with him, and so he's had me over for some dinners and everything, and we've chatted about stuff, and he's educated me a lot. He's very, very knowledgeable, like with this kind of stuff. Very knowledgeable, like really, really knows his shit. And he's done all the raw meats. He's done high liver. I haven't done high liver yet. High liver is essentially fermented liver that you let like rot basically and ferment in a jar over the course of however many days or weeks or months that you want, and then eat it. And it's like black and smelly. It's crazy. But he's done like everything. So he educated me a lot on this stuff as well. But he's like, yeah, but he's like, dude, I could send you a chicken and you could try chicken. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no way, right? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I'll give you a free one. Just tag us in your video. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Because everyone on my TikTok had been asking me, like, you like eat raw chicken, eat raw chicken, eat raw. Like they all were like blowing me up in the comments, my Q&A, like everything. So I'm like, all right, like I got it. If Dom is saying I could do it, like I trust him. So I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, all right, like explain to me why I'm good. Because this goes against everything that I've known my whole life, right? About eating raw chicken. And what he explained to me, what essentially is the salmonella that would occur in chicken. It's not actually activated in raw chicken. It's activated in undercooked chicken. So salmonella is activated by heat. So you typically don't get salmonella from eating raw chicken. You get it from when like if you were to like cook a chicken breast and then it's still like all raw in the center, that's what's going to give you salmonella. That's what's going to fuck you up. And so when he explained that to me, he's like, now it doesn't mean that you can go and get like, chicken breast that's been sitting out unfrozen at the grocery store. You're probably going to fuck yourself on that. But he's like, dude, I get cage-free, soy-free, antibiotic-free, like all like steroid-free chickens that are range grown and not like caged and everything. And they're frozen. And also too, he explained to me when you freeze meat, it kills off the bacteria and any parasites. He's like, so with this being the quality of the chicken it is, and it's frozen right upon slaughter, he's like, you could let this thaw out and chomp it. And when he explained it to me like that, I was like, all right, I'm sold. Like, let's do it. So he gave me the chicken. I let it sit out. It wasn't fully thawed out, but like the breasts and like the outer part was, and then the center was a little frozen. And so, yeah, man, I just cut a big freaking chunk of the breast off, and I just chomped it, man. I probably ate like a good, I would say 4-ounce piece of raw chicken, like the whole 4-ounce piece, probably 3 to 4 ounces roughly. And I felt 100% fine. No issues, no stomach issues, nothing, no sick, no anything. Felt completely fine. And it was good, bro. It was like really tender. It was really tender. It was fine. I kind of enjoyed it, to be honest.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
so
And
wild.
let me say this. Let me say this too. This is also so Dom, my buddy Dom, the owner of Hunters, he really sealed the deal for me. But I had also in the past seen that there's restaurants, man, in Japan, and not just restaurants. There's two things here. So number one, there's restaurants, like places in Japan. Japanese people actually eat like chicken sashimi as like a delicacy. Do you know that? Like for real. There's like high-end restaurants in Japan that will serve you all types of sashimi. Sashimi is just like raw sliced, right? So they'll have all like the fish sashimi, all the seafood sashimi, but then they'll have like different types of wagyu beef, and then chicken, bro, like chicken sashimi. And a lot of the Japanese people prefer it as a delicacy over beef and fish. And so I've seen videos like that on Instagram. So I was like, all right, like these people are eating chicken sashimi, right? And then I've also I've just seen videos of tribes, man. There's multiple tribes in South American countries, African countries, that will eat raw chicken. They do it every day, all the time. They'll kill a chicken and they'll split it, yeah, across the whole tribe. And they're like perfectly healthy. They're all like lean and cut and muscular, and so I'm like, all right, dude, like you got these tribal people eating chickens, you got Japanese people eating chicken sashimi. I'm like, why can't I do it? So
Yeah.
that's how it happened. And then
I
I
love
also
that.
I did pork too. I did a raw pork chop, and that was also from Hunter's. My buddy Dom sent me a pork chop, and he said, "Yeah, man, same thing." He's like, "Go for it." I was like, "All right, fuck
Wow.
it." I chopped
Shit.
on a whole tomahawk, like with the
I saw
bone. Like
that video. I saw that video and I was like,
well,
Christ.
of the pork or the steak.
Yeah. The pork chop. Yeah, I saw that and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, the tomahawk pork chop.
like
Yeah, man. Yeah, so
I'll
yeah, man, it's all good. I'm good. I feel great. I haven't had any
that's good.
issues. It's funny too because I've gotten food poisoning twice this year, and
What was that from?
it was from restaurants, man. I
From
went out to
restaurant?
eat. Yeah, I two times that I've gone to a restaurant, I've come home and gotten fucked. And I'm like, how do I eat raw meat and I'm fine? And then I go to a restaurant, and two different times this year I got so fucked from two different restaurants, and I'm just like, that's crazy to me. Like you would
Yeah,
think the raw meat is gonna screw me over, and then it's not. It was eating out. So yeah,
I
that
think
was
that
that
just proves what was it you was eating in the restaurants that did you in?
So the one restaurant was what do you call it? It was a hot pot. So here's the thing. It was a hot pot restaurant. So you cook the meat and the seafood in the pot of water, which tells me that I probably undercooked one of their meats that probably just wasn't kept properly and set out too long. And that probably activated salmonella or something, in me. And boom. But once again, I bet you if I would have eaten all the meat there raw, I bet you I would have been better off. But because I probably undercooked it, that's what messed me up. That was the first one. And then the second one, what the hell did I have? I had I don't even remember. It was I can't remember. I can't
Something not
remember what it
good.
was. This one was back in only like August, the hot pot one. The other one was back in like February. So I can't remember what it was.
Because I
But
remember
yeah,
you uploading a video and you was in hospital, and I remember seeing you in hospital. I can't remember you had to have an operation or something. Someone got infected, or maybe that might not be food poisoning, but you was definitely in hospital at one stage because something got infected and you got an operation, then that got infected or something like that. In your leg? Was it in your leg or somewhere?
oh, my elbow.
Your elbow. You had something in your elbow, and I remember thinking,
Yeah, dude,
Jesus.
that was over a year ago, man. That was actually the day that so I walked up to I drove to the hospital that morning, and they had to give me elbow surgery because I had traumatic bursitis. And it's when I fell back and I hit my elbow really hard, and it filled up with fluid. They drained it once, and then it filled back up again. They drained it twice, it filled back up again, and then the third time when they drained it, it was so infected, it was gross. And they're like, you need to come in like tomorrow. We need you here tomorrow in the morning for emergency surgery, or else you're gonna face some bad implications, complications. And I was like, oh fuck, okay. And so I went to the hospital the next morning early, probably like 7, 8 in the morning, and I was walking up the steps, and they were taking my temperature before I went into the building for like COVID or whatever. And as they're taking my temperature, my phone starts exploding, bzz, 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 and I'm like, what the hell? And I looked at it, and it's my girl. She's sending me pictures, and it was a positive pregnancy test. So that was how I found out that I was having a kid. Was I was literally walking into the hospital like stressed as fuck, like my elbow's fucked, it's throbbing in pain, I'm like freaking out, I have to have surgery, my head is spinning, and then my girl's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening right now? I was like like, hey, look, like whatever you guys want to do, let's just get it going and knock me out. You guys got that anesthetic, man. I need to go to sleep right now.
Christ,
Yeah,
that's two extremes, isn't it? Your partner's pregnant, and then you got to have that operation, and it's just like
yeah,
all at once. That's
yeah.
crazy.
That
But
was a crazy day, man.
but I'm
Yeah.
glad you're all good though. I'm glad you're all good. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
sucked. It put me out of the gym and everything for like 4 months. And then it took me after that, it probably took me like another man, almost like 6 months of working out to like fully recover.
Jeez.
But yeah, it
It's
sucked.
it's crazy what happens sometimes in life, isn't it? In situations that happen, you just think, how the hell did that happen? But
It's pretty wild.
and I'm just curious because when I last spoke to you, like of all the people I've spoken to in the time I've been doing a podcast, I think I've met loads of people, and there's been different changes in their lives. But I think out of all the people I've spoken to, you've had the most significant shift and change. Because when we last spoke, you was in the States, and now you're in Bali and you're doing all these different things, and
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur and you're influencer and helping other people. And where was your head at before you moved to Bali? Like, was you scared? Was you nervous? Was what? From when we last spoke, because I remember you mentioning something about Bali, or you was going traveling. What was is any like limitate? Where was you at?
What do you remember? I don't remember when our first
It was
podcast was.
it was during the COVID a lot. I think during the COVID periods, or when things were locked down. I've got it on my file because I've still got the recording.
So it was 2020 though. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because
So if that's the case, then I had already been to Bali actually. So I had traveled to Bali in January of 2020. That was when I first got there. Me and my buddy Colin, we went there. We booked a trip for a month and we said, let's just go explore, man. Let's go to Bali and have fun and meet people and work and play and just enjoy ourselves for a month and then figure it out afterwards. And so that month went by and I fell in love with it. And I said, yo, I'm not leaving, man. And he was like, dude, hell yeah. He's like, go for it. So he went back home. I stayed in Bali another month, and this was right before COVID hit. And I was just getting a visa on arrival every time I would go there. So you just enter as a tourist. They give you a visa for 30 days and then you have to fly out in 30 days. And so a lot of people would do that. They would just fly out every 30 days and fly back in. And so that's what I was doing. So I took a quick trip in February over to Singapore for a few nights, came back. And then I did the same in March to Philippines. And then when I was in Philippines, COVID hit. So I got stuck in Philippines. Bali closed its doors. I had all my shit in 2 suitcases back in Bali. And I had like 4 days of clothes with me in Philippines. And so I got stuck in Philippines and we couldn't leave the guest house in this village I was in. There was troops with rifles outside. It was fucking nuts. And they finally got us like a rescue bus down to the middle of the island where the airport was at like 3 a.m. That was a crazy story. And then they flew us over to Manila, and then I was stuck in Manila waiting for Bali to open up. And that's when in April they decided they closed indefinitely for like however long. And I was like, fuck, I'm screwed. So at that point, then I went back to the States. I went to Hawaii for a couple months. Then I was in LA, Vegas, Arizona. I went back to, Philly to see my family. I went to all over the place. And at some point, that was probably when we talked. And then during that time that I was bouncing around the States, I assume. And then at that point, so I was like, you're asking how I felt about Bali when I moved here. But I was already like, my mind was already like still in Bali. So I wasn't like scared about it. I was ready for it. Kind of. I shouldn't say 100% because I actually almost moved to LA, which is crazy to think that if that had happened, I was essentially like saved by a phone call. This is what happened. So this was November of 2020, so about 2 years ago. And by now, Bali had been closed for like, what's that, like 7-8 months of COVID. And so at this point, I was like, all right, like, you know what? I got to do something. Cause I traveled. And then in October, I went back home to Philly. And so at that point, I was like, I need a break. I've been living out of a suitcase for a fucking year. I was like, I'm going to chill with my family, like stay at my parents' place, just relax. Like, and I made like small trips every weekend. I was going to like Miami for some business trips and New York and all over the place still. But I was based in Philly for like 2 months then. But it was like a month of that went by, and dude, I'm fucking 27, 28 at this point. I'm like, I can't, like, I'm getting stir crazy. I'm living at home, right? Like, that's not like who I am. I hadn't lived at home since I was like 21 or 22 or some shit, right? So I was like, I gotta make a move. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can't sit around and wait for Bali anymore. I was like, fuck it. I'm moving to LA. I'm doing it. Here we go. So I flew out to LA in November. And I got like a hotel for like a week. And I was like, I'm just gonna look at apartments like all week. So I spent like the first like 3 days like nonstop looking at places. And it was like the third or fourth day I was there, I was taking a break. I looked at a bunch of places. I was sitting there eating lunch. I had gotten like a sandwich or something. I was like sitting in my car eating lunch by the bay, and I was watching the water. My phone rings, and it's one of my friends. Her name is Sable, and I met her in Bali. Really good friend of mine. We lived together. We had a place. We were roommates. And so she calls me, and she was like, dude, she's like, have you heard? And I'm like, heard what? And she's like, Bali's open again. And I was like, oh, fuck, no way. I was like, dude, I'm looking at places in LA right now. She's like, don't do it. She's like, I know you. You want to be in Bali. And I was like, fuck, wow. I was like, and I had by now, since I was on like the third or fourth day and I only had a couple days left to be in LA, I had already like almost gotten ready to sign a lease. Like, I found a place that I really liked. And I was like, fuck it, like, this is it. And I think I was either gonna go back like the next day or like 2 days after. So I was like 24 to 48 hours away from my life being in LA. And then my friend calls and she's like, Bali's open. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going. Like, so like that phone call, like, dude, if I didn't get that call, none of this would be happening right now. So it's just, it's crazy how shit aligns like that, man. And so by then, to answer your question, you know, I was ready, bro. When I got that phone call, I was like, this is a sign. I gotta go. That's my heart's calling. I got a whole suitcase and a half full of shit there. Like, I gotta go. This is it. My stuff got left there for a reason. And then sure enough, I went there, and within like, bro, probably within the first 2 weeks, I met my girl. Like, and
Wow.
that's, yeah. So crazy.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy, you know, the synchronicity of life and how things pan out, and how, you know, things shift, and like, you know, you're in one place and you think, okay, well, this is it, but then, you know, something else happens, and I think, you know, like, the most important thing, like, you know, throughout everything what you've been talking about is, you know, you're listening to yourself, if that makes sense. You know, you're going with your compass, if that makes sense. Like, you're following, you know, something within yourself. You know, like, we all have our own kind of guide, don't we? And you know, you're tuned into yourself and following that. A lot of people don't do that. They'll, you know, not do that. They'll not follow their own path, maybe because they're swayed by what other people were saying to them, and they're not really listening to who they are. And I think, you know, you're listening to who you are and you're following that through, which I think is really important. And, you know, I'm really happy for you, you know, and where you're at. And, you know, I love everything that you're doing, and, you know, your life that you have, and, you know, your family that you have, you know, and I'm glad that your son's feeling better as well. Cause I know, like, last week he wasn't too well.
Yeah, we were all sick, man, and we all went through it. It was him, and then me, and then my girl, and then another round for each of us. My son again, and then me, and then my girl. It's been a rough month, but
glad you're on top. And And also, like, you know, is there any like advice that you give to, like, you know, people who, you know, want to travel or want to like kind of be successful, or, you know, follow, you know, go into
Of
something and follow?
course, I'm full of advice, man. I mean, there's a few things that you want to keep in mind um in certain situations, but in a broader sense of things. I got a tattoo on my leg a while back. And it's of a compass, and on the top it says wrong, and on the bottom it says right, and the arrow is pointing down. And if you know a compass always points north, right? It always points forward, it always points north. And that's how you know where to go, is by following the north direction. And so I made the arrow point down to right, and wrong is up top where the north point would be. And basically it helps. I did it to remind myself, like, even when basically what it means is, even when something seems wrong, the universe will always point you to what's right. So typically a compass wouldn't ever point down, right? But it's pointing in the right direction. And even though your heart or your mind will tell you to sometimes go north, and you know, you have to listen to it and say, all right, like what do I really want right now? So basically that's like my way of reminding myself, like, if you're really feeling something, like, just do it, even if it feels like it might not be the right decision now. It's going to end up being the right decision later. And yeah, it's got that mentality has gotten me a lot of places in my life that I wouldn't have gotten without taking a risk. You know, you have to take a risk. You have to listen to that intuition in yourself, and do it quick. I mean, there's some things that should be thought out, but I think a lot of us spend too much time thinking. So don't spend too much time thinking. You know, think about what you want, and execute it and get it done. And everything comes in chapters. Everything comes in segments. So like having the patience to see out your goal and complete each task along the way is a big strength that you need. So like, if you want to see something come to fruition, just understand that you can only control so much, and there's some things that you can't control, and you have to let those take whatever amount of time they're going to take to pan out without giving up on the way. But the things that you can control, you need to fucking go at them full speed, get them done, right? So if you can do one thing, get it done. And then if you hit a wall where it's going to take 1 week for this one thing to happen, you have to fucking chill for that week, focus on everything else besides that, and just let that week get by. Like, there are certain situations that you're going to come up with that. Like right now, I'm going through it right now. I have my merch, my clothing brand, that I'm like ready to, I'm doing everything I can. I've done everything I can. I can no longer do anything else. My team has to do their jobs and responsibilities to get this website built and the Shopify store built. And that's their job. And I have delegated it to them because I don't fucking know how to build a website. It's not my strong suit. I'm not a tech guy. So for me, I'm like, yo, take an Adderall and pull an all-nighter, right? I'm just kidding. I would never fucking encourage anyone to take Adderall. But I'm like, yo, guys, I'm like, Black Friday, like, we got to get this done by Black Friday. I'm like really pushing it. But it's like, at the same time, like, if it doesn't get done by then, like, it is what it is, because I had to wait a certain amount of time for the bank to process my new account, because I'm overseas, so it takes a little bit longer. I have to confirm and verify a bunch of shit. I had to process the new LLC and confirm a bunch of shit with them. So it's like, just, dude, if you want to see things through, do what you can, control the controllables, right? Control what's controllable and don't stress about what's not. And don't spend any fucking time stressing out about something that you can't control. Just do what you can and then enjoy the rest of the time around it. And if you can't, if you've done all your work that you can do and there's nothing you can do, take some time and enjoy yourself, man. Fucking read a book that you want to read, go have dinner, go to the beach, fucking whatever you want to do. Just, spend time with family, friends, enjoy yourself, and then get back to work. But yeah, that's really like, that's been the flow for me. I have so much to do. I have so much work to do, but I have a newborn son and I have a girl that I love. And it's like, that's important to me. I have a family now. I'm a family man, family guy. So it's like, we have a nanny, a full-time nanny, which without, I don't know, like what the fuck I'd be doing. But she just started full-time yesterday, like full-time, like staying over 6 nights a week and being here during the day. So basically what we've had for the past 4 months, my son's almost, actually he'll be 5 months in a few days. But for the past 5 months, she stays over 3 nights a week. And then she's off like four days a month, like once a week. Even with that, my sleep has been so fucked. And that's a big reason why I've been getting sick, is because the sleep is so bad. Because it's every other night we're up like constantly with this kid, right? And so now she's staying over. And so now I can spend more time prioritizing things to what I need to get done and still take some time here and there to spend with my son, to spend with myself, to spend with my girl. And that's important. Take that time if you need it, the hustle culture, I think it's called hustle culture, is it's become almost an issue, to be honest. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. Yeah, the grind culture, hustle culture, whatever you want to call it. It's not bad to grind. It's not bad to hustle. But like, dude, there's this coach that I've seen on Instagram, always promoting himself. And he's like promoting himself constantly through all these pages. And he posted the other day, and he always writes like a big story caption with like a call to action at the bottom, like DM me this, at the bottom to like, for his sales. But like I just saw the story and he's like, yeah, I spent the last few days in the hospital getting eye surgery because I was on my computer too much. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, like, I get it. Like he's crushing it. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire. He's doing multi 6 figures a month, almost $1 million a month. And it's like, that's awesome. But like, at what cost? Like, bro, you just had eye surgery because you're on your computer too much and you're like encouraging people to grind. Like, I don't think that's not for me. That's not for me.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to, if that's what makes them happy, fine. But like, bro, you can't fucking physically be happy. He talks about like, I have like migraines and like, I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're making $1 million a month. I mean, fuck it, bro, like grind, but shit, find the line somewhere. So anyway, yeah, that's all I got.
It's crazy. I mean, I love your, your advice, and I really appreciate you sharing, your concept of, your routine and how you work. I really appreciate, you sharing that. And I think, a lot of people will take a lot from that, because I think a lot of people are misguided. They don't know what to do, and they don't know how to put it in place. And if they have it in place, they're burning their bridges too much. And like you said, do what you can control, and don't spend too much time thinking about it. I think that's a really big thing. When we think about it, we're in our head, and then I was like it in my current job. My current job role changed, and I was working from home for a long period of time, and then I had to commute to different offices. And before I was doing it, I was overthinking it and thinking, shit, like, am I going to be able to manage all this? And now I'm just doing it, and it's it's not as bad as I thought it'd be. And then I think, like you said, with the grind and the hustle, I think if you're not looking after your health first and you're putting those priorities in place for yourself, like you said, you're spending time with your kids, spending time with your partner, doing things that you want to do, you have to do those little things sometimes to recharge and to do what you got to do. Because if you're overburning and overstretching yourself and your health goes down a bit, then you can't do, you know, then it can affect what you're doing or your business. And we see that quite a lot. And I have to, you know, I'm busy in my job, but so I spend time with my family. I'll like go for walks. I'll see my girlfriend. So it's these things that will help.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
walks. I used to think like, oh, go for a walk. Like, what am I, like a 7-year-old? Like, you know,
Yeah.
I used to think that was like corny, and now it's like I love it, dude. I'll because it's like I leave my phone. You know, I leave my phone inside, and you just like go and you just feel nature. I do barefoot walks now, man. I've been doing a
Oh,
lot of
nice.
yeah, barefoot's the shit. It's awesome. And
Yeah.
then you get you're grounding in the earth, and you're getting the ions from the earth and the sunlight. So I'll walk my dogs all the time, or I'll take my son in the stroller and we'll just do, you know, walk the block. And yeah, it's great, man. It's good stuff.
It's awesome. But yeah, no, I really, really appreciate you you know, coming back on the podcast. You know, I'm really, you know, grateful to be your friend and be able to like, you know, do this. And you know, I'm really happy for you and where you're at. And like, you know, I wish you continued success for what you're doing, and you know, for your future and your family. And you know, where can people find you on social media, like anything you're working on?
I'm Pauly Long, at Pauly Long, PAULYLONG, at Pauly Long on all platforms. And yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter. No, not why did I was thinking about Twitter, because Twitter I'm actually not Pauly Long. I'm oh no, I just changed it. I was Pauly_Long for a while, but I'm at the Testicle King on Twitter. But no,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram, TikTok, and I'm getting YouTube going too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram and TikTok are like my main two. And yeah, if anyone wants to take their life to the next level, that's kind of what my community and my mentorship are about. DM me the word shift if you're interested, and we can chat, see if there's anything I can do to help you.
No, awesome, man. And like, you know, let me know when your merch is out and things, and I'll promote it and put it out there for you, and I'll put it all in the episode as well.
Thank you so much. I
No,
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
Yeah. Hopefully in a week. We got
Yeah,
1 week till Black Friday. So
yeah,
I'm hoping for a week.
yeah. It'll be all good. But no, I hope you have a great evening, and
Thanks,
thank you for
brother.
coming on. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Have a good
Take
day.
it easy, man.
Yeah,
Bye, boss.
later.